Hello there, my friends. It's Fredrik here, a brand new video. And what exactly is this video going to be about, you asked? Well, it's going to be about a digital multimeter. This one is very inexpensive, but I personally think it's quite good. I'm going to perform an unboxing, as the term goes, and together we will thoroughly examine all of its functions, how exactly we use it, what kinds of things we can measure with it in our car, in our home, and so forth. Yeah. A little bit of everything, really. Are you interested in that? Well, in that case, come along with us and we'll begin.
Alright, so now we're gonna take a moment and just see what exactly is hidden inside this box here. Well then, of course, we've got the multimeter right here.
Alright, so first up we have what we call item number 1, and then for our second component we've got the essential instruction manual, and to ensure everything functions perfectly we also have a battery.
And it's good that it's included. And then we have the cables, the measuring cables. The last ones here are the cables we'll be using to measure the temperature later on. So this is what the box contains when you actually purchase it. The battery, we're going to install it into the multimeter now, and then after that we'll connect the measuring cables. Yes, the battery is situated here in the back, right behind this cover. First, there's a screw that needs to be taken out, and then we can place the battery inside, and I've just done that. We'll turn on the clock now and see that the display is working. It's active and ready. Alright then, we'll take these cables and carefully place them into their designated spots, precisely where they're meant to be connected. The black one goes right here, and then the red cable connects over in that particular spot.
There you go.
Alright, it's all finished now. We've successfully connected both the black and the red wires, and the next step for us to take is to check the light bulb to see if the bulb is still working or if it's completely broken. And how many of you out there have one of these odds and ends boxes at home? You can clearly see that it's got electric candle holders and various lamps. And which components are in good condition here and which ones are damaged? We can actually easily determine and confirm that with a multimeter. As you can clearly observe, there is a prominent ring here, which is equipped with various measurement ranges. On this particular side, we have direct current voltage, for example, just like in a car's 12-volt system. On this particular page, we are discussing alternating current, pause, which is the mains voltage found in our houses and homes. Pause, 200 volts, 500 volts. Pause, you can see a symbol there indicating volt for alternating current. The sine curve, right over there. And here we have direct current, which is commonly used in vehicles like cars, motorhomes, boats, and various 12-volt systems, among many other applications. On this side, you'll notice the area that's highlighted in yellow. You'll observe an ohm symbol located right there, and this is precisely where we can take our measurements. That is to say, resistance to various kinds of things. And all the way to the right, that symbol, it looks like a sound symbol. This one is what we're going to be using, and I use it very often with a multimeter to check if different components have contact with each other, or if they are completely intact. So, what we're doing at this moment, we are going to turn the clock until it aligns with that specific symbol. And here on the side you can see the temperature readings, both in Fahrenheit and Celsius. And for that we will need to change the cabling to swap it out for this particular one. We'll get to that part later on in this video. But for now it needs to be configured to display that specific symbol. And what is happening now? That is what happens if we take the measuring probes and touch them together against each other.
That's what it will sound like. Yes, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. We simply establish contact.
And what we're going to do now, and you probably recognize this, we probably all have this at home before Christmas. A mixed bag, some good, some bad. And what's working? And what's broken here now? Well, it's very easy to check with a multimeter and measure with it set to the correct setting. The one measuring probe that's currently on that particular contact point. And the other measuring probe, you will then place it upon the casing and...
Yes, it's completely intact. You can hear it, it's resonating.
Now I can get organized here. My mixed bag of everything, which I think we all have. Let's go out to the car right now, and then we can measure the battery's voltage level. And so, for that reason, we're going to need to have it set at 20 volts, because the starter battery itself is only 12 volts, so that way it will give us a really good reading. On the internet, we have DC voltage, 12 volts in the car. So we're going to head outside and test and take some measurements on the car right now. Come along with me and let's get this show on the road. Alright, so right here we're looking at a car battery, and for those of you who have been following my channel, you'll certainly know that I've recently replaced the car battery, the starter battery. I then conducted a comprehensive power test on my starter battery to accurately assess its current power output and overall condition, and you can clearly see it here in this image. And if you are interested in knowing the exact amount of power that is left in your car battery, then you can go and watch this video to see for yourselves. But that is a completely different story altogether. Now we are going to measure the voltage, that is to say the volts then. On our starter battery, we have the negative terminal here and the positive terminal there. We'll take the black test lead and the red test lead on the positive. What we're doing now, pause, is just making sure that we have this properly adjusted to, it should then be on the 20 volt measurement range, direct current. If we go up to 200, we're going to get, no, there's no problem having it at 200, but we'll get a completely different measurement, a completely different decimal value here. As close to the measurement area as possible. And we know, of course, that we have about 12 volts on this starter battery. So we're going to set it to 20, and then we'll connect the positive to the positive terminal and the negative to the negative. And in this particular spot, we're observing a measurement value that registers at precisely 12.19 volts. Yes, indeed. And if we now change this to test it at the 200 volt measuring range, then we'll see how it looks then, you see. Yes, then we get 1 decimal and it becomes a bit less accurate measurement then, 12.1. It becomes more accurate, you see, when we have a much better measurement value, a much better measurement range available to us. Here, for example, we have a reading of 12.18 than 12.19. So as a result, we achieve a much higher level of accuracy. What we're going to do right now is actually get inside the car and check if a fuse is blown. Then I'll show you exactly how we can measure that. It might seem a little bit tricky at first, but I will definitely show you how. Okay, so now we are inside the car. And here, on the side of the car, we can see that fuses are indeed present on this particular vehicle. I actually know for a fact that one of these is broken, so we're going to measure with the multimeter to determine which one of them is faulty. So this is what a fully intact fuse looks like. You can clearly observe that there are 2 metal prongs which are inserted down into a contact point there. And then right between these 2 metal prongs we have... So for the electrical contact then, as you can clearly observe this particular spiral metal piece, at the very top section you'll notice that some metal is emerging, and that is precisely the point where we need to perform our measurements. It's metal, it's metal. And then what we should hear is a clear sound between these 2 contact points. This is, of course, assuming that the fuse itself is still in perfect working order. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take our multimeter and we'll set it to the sound function, exactly like we did earlier, just like we did for the lamp that's inside. We're just doing a quick check to ensure we've got audio. It's quite a challenge to film here and handle everything at the same time, but yes, absolutely. We have sound. So let's take a measurement here. We'll put one of the measuring probes on one of the legs and the other one on the other leg. Yes, you hear that sound there. The fuse is therefore intact.
We are moving on.
Time for the next one.
Absolutely. Next.
Oh, well, no. It appears to be broken, apparently. Yes, that's absolutely right. Let's try the next one, just to be on the safe side. We'll just quickly check. Yes, that's correct.
So, it appears that this one here is broken. We'll have to take it out and then we can check it.
You know, there are these special fuse pullers that you can use to easily get them out because they can be quite stiff and hard to remove. Just like that. You can see it right here in this space. There's no contact. It's broken. There's no connection between the pins. A new intact one looks like this. There you can see that it's whole.
All right, so we're on top of the situation.
we're going to put a new fuse in right here, and you should always make sure to use the same amperage. As you can see, 20, 15, 15. If you take out a 15 amp fuse, then you must put back a 15 amp fuse in that exact same spot. So that's how it is with this one. Alright, so we've managed to get ourselves inside now, and just as we had observed and found out when we were still outside, it was quite evident that a main fuse had completely blown. And that is the one that we found out there at the time. And a brand new fuse is going to look exactly like this. You can clearly see that it is positioned right between the legs. So as you can see, there is direct contact. And what we are going to do now is that we will measure the temperature with the help of the device that is included in the package. That cable that needs to go in there. What we are doing right now is that we are taking out all of these different cables, and then we are going to be putting these other ones in instead. We are going to carefully adjust the dial on the instrument to the specific section of the scale that indicates Celsius temperatures. Look right here, and up here at the very top we can see it clearly now. 22 degrees Celsius and 21 degrees Celsius. If we press this button right over here, it turns on a light so that we are able to see everything a little bit better. And if we hold down this yellow button that we see right here, then we can lock the measured value firmly in place. If we were to change anything at all right now, it wouldn't measure. It would then show us absolutely nothing. If we were to let go of it, it would then display something quite different.
So it is live, I see.
Alright, I'm just going to put this in my mouth now, and then we'll see what happens. Yes, it's 37 degrees. Yes, it appears to be functioning quite well, absolutely. That's the situation with the measurement function. And this multimeter, you see, is a little bit special since, from my experience, there aren't many multimeters that actually measure temperature. So, this is a really neat and useful extra feature to have. Now, for our next step, I thought it would be interesting to measure the alternating current voltage, which is essentially our standard mains voltage right here in our home. You can clearly observe that the display shows readings of 500 and 200 right there. And then we're going to have to replace these cables once again. We'll switch off this one, then switch off that one, and then we'll swap them back. We only use this one when we are measuring the temperature. And, as I've already mentioned, we are going to carefully place back these important measuring probes. And now we are going to proceed to measure our electrical wall socket in the home environment. And so I believe that we should set the dial to 500 because we have 230 volts running through the wall outlet right here. And these two little measuring probes right here are intended to be used to measure exactly how many volts are currently present inside the wall socket. So with that being said, let us move right along and get started with the next one. Come along and follow me. And now we can see that there is another standard wall outlet located right over here in the kitchen area. And right over here we have the mains voltage. As you can see, it is exactly 230 volts. We need to be very careful and know exactly what we're doing here because there is dangerous voltage behind this particular connector. And if you find this to be unsettling, you absolutely should not do this yourself, but instead get help from someone who truly knows how to do it. And each time you're going to perform a measurement, you should verify that the instrument setting is accurate to ensure it's not set to direct current voltage, specifically 500 volts. We have alternating current voltage here in the home's power supply. Here we have alternating current, a sine wave. We'll adjust the setting to 500 there because we are dealing with 230 volts there. Now we'll carefully insert the measuring probes into the wall outlet, just like this. And then we can immediately see what the device is measuring. 230 volts.
Yes.
That's how it is.
Yes, and we've already set it to 500. If we were to set this to 200 now, then it wouldn't be able to measure, because it's 230 volts. When I set it to 500, then it is going to show 230 right there. Alright, so now let us go ahead and do a quick little summary of everything that we have done, what we have accomplished and what we have measured and so on and so forth. The very first thing that we did was, of course, to measure the lamp to see if it was still intact. And then we used the measurement range to see if we have a connection. Yes, exactly. And a connection is certainly what we have.
What if
it makes a sound, then the lamp is intact. Then we went out to the car and measured the voltage of our starter battery. We knew the starter battery's nominal voltage was 12 volts. So then we set the multimeter to measure DC voltage on the 20 volt range. And then we took a measurement and we ended up getting just about 12 volts or something like that. After we finished that, we went ahead and checked all of the fuses as well. there's tricky little things, and it's the same situation here. We need to adjust the measurement range, so we turn the dial until we establish a proper connection.
Yes, it's ringing out right now.
We went ahead and measured all the pins up here at the very top, and then we actually ended up realizing that we had a fuse that was completely blown out.
Yes.
It was broken. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sound at all in that case then.
It's supposed to make a sound when it's whole.
So we'll test a whole one then.
So,
Alright then, pause. So, after that, we proceeded to go inside the house and carefully take all the necessary measurements there. Here we have a wall socket, and the wall sockets in our homes typically supply a mains voltage of 230 volts, so we'll need to adjust our measurement range on the device from direct current voltage to alternating current voltage. And of course we know that we have 230 volts in the wall outlet, so then we'll have to turn this up to 500.
As I previously showed you, it simply won't display the actual measured value if we had it set to 200, and that's what we measured at that time.
And here this button clearly indicates the illumination so we can see much better. Then it fades out over time, so you need to press it to make it light up. Again, this particular button here is for the hold function. Yeah, we can hold the current measurement value, and if we release it, then we will see the live reading. At that point, it will then display the actual current measurement value.
I think this particular one is exceptionally good.
And what's a little bit special about this particular one is that these two here actually display the temperature, and that's quite a unique feature to find on a multimeter. Not many of them have that, at least not that I'm aware of. And what we haven't looked at yet is the ampere, and we have that here, a measuring range. There are more instructions regarding that in the user manual that comes with it. And it shows you how to do it and what settings you need to adjust. However, it's not very often that I personally measure amperes. Instead, I use an amp clamp, which is a completely different tool when I need to measure current. Since the amperage is quite high in the cars that I'm working on, but these things allow you to measure mains voltage at home or DC voltage in our car or boat. Or, more importantly, when we are troubleshooting, we can then obtain an audible signal. For that, we actually need to ensure it's set to the proper measurement range naturally, just like that. This allows us to determine if components are intact, such as light bulbs, fuses, or if there's a break in a cable, and so forth.